We start with the latest on the midterm elections in the United States. For that, we'll go straight over to our Eunice Kim, who's been following developments for us at the NewsCenter. So, Eunice, polling stations have closed on the East Coast and results are steadily streaming in, we see. What do we know so far?
Well, Mark, the first polls have closed in 9 eastern states, including Georgia, Ohio, Virginia, and the Carolinas. And even as the votes are being counted, one of the first projected and declared Republican wins was party leader and Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, giving him a pass to advance to become a Senate Majority Leader down the road. Republicans also picked up their first nab in West Virginia, a Senate seat that had been held by Democrats since 1956. Now, a lot of eyes are on the U.S. Senate race as Republicans only need 6 additional seats in America's upper house to claim a majority, as their control of the House of Representatives is all but certain. Even President Barack Obama admitted recently to a local radio show in Connecticut, as he urged people to go out and vote, that the Senate electoral map looks to heavily favor Republicans, the, quote, worst possible map seen since Dwight Eisenhower in 1958.
And Eunice, while we're on that note, these elections are being touted, as I mentioned during the headlines, as a referendum on President Barack Obama, whose approval ratings are pretty much in the doldrums these days. So what are the voters in the US so unhappy about?
Yeah, certainly he has not seen very high approval figures as of late, in the low 40% range, despite recent improvements in the U.S. economy. And ironically, a gridlocked Washington probably has a lot to do with that, as Congress has failed to pass a number of bills piling up due to deep partisan differences. Also, the improvement in economic indicators have not necessarily translated to an improvement in the average citizen's standard of living. Pundits also say the negative campaigns leading up to these polls that rung up to a tune of nearly $4 billion by the Republicans, which also featured global threats such as Ebola and the Islamic State militants entering U.S. borders, could very well affect voter sentiment, which could also mean discouraging people from going to the polls at all.
And Eunice, we understand it's quite possible we won't have the complete results. We're seeing some early results come in, but the full results might not be seen for days, possibly even weeks.
Yeah, and that's because the last polls in the 50 states will close in Alaska. That's projected to be around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 3 p.m. here in Korea. But if no candidate wins a simple majority in the states of Louisiana and Georgia, there will be a runoff, which won't happen until December and January, respectively. So it could go as late as that.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope we get some kind of result by then. Well, thank you very much for keeping an eye on the developments. Eunice, and we'll be speaking to you at noon Korea time again. Now, in the rest of the day's news, North Korea has ruled out holding any talks with the United States regarding either its human rights issues or things to do with its nuclear program. A spokesperson from the North's foreign ministry says Pyongyang will not discuss such topics with enemies that aim to topple the regime, adding it's only willing to speak with countries that respect its sovereign rights. Watchers say the official statement linking human rights and nuclear issues could be an attempt to influence Washington ahead of a possible UN General Assembly vote on a resolution against North Korea's human rights abuses.